going to the professor. Okay, end up coming down this route. I end up seeing a shortcut and end up taking it, going down the ledges. Of course, I get scared going down the ledges, but I end up facing it. And mainly, it's not really ledges; it's mainly hillside. So I end up going down the hillside, mountainside, kind of. And as you see, so I end up going down and through. I end up following the trail, and I see this part was actually a ledge part, and I can actually go through this part to avoid and get through and avoid. But I find out that I can't avoid this grass right here. Eventually going down and going through the route, and of course go through this route with a little bit of grassland. It's steep, it's pretty far. It's 5 blades of grass as it shows, which is 10 to set, but that's pretty far of a stretch of grassland. So if they would do it like a certain area radius of how long or how far they make it. So I end up coming through and coming back, going through town and all that stuff. The scene ends up happening. We come through and I end up coming in. And assistants see me, of course. Alakazam greets me with Psychic, lifts me up, and lets me come through again. And I walk up to the professor again, and Stefan, how's my old Pokemon? Of course, it seems he's growing more attached to us. Of course, he must be talented as a Pokemon trainer. So, of course, he says, he puts it in his sister's, afterwards, which is I would appreciate if you would hold on to Charmander for me, And he says it to me. He says in existence that I hold Charmander. So it's something for me. I tell him, of course, and it's the delivery. It's he says, oh, what's that? Do you have something for me? And in the instant that he says, do you have something for me, out of nowhere, all the grandchildren pop up in the room and surround all of us. So it'd be kind of cool if it was a new Game Boy Game Advance. This would make it more spiced up and make it more interesting. Also, the concept of the old features will be there, but some newer features would be included. So and they actually have their names. So the people that are fans, they can actually play alongside of them and play alongside with them also, and alongside, that'd be kind of cool. So says, what's that? Do you have something for me? Now, how I develop them, if they feel and they have a good recommendation of how I developed and how the movie goes, because it's going to be how the movie goes, then that's how they can developly grow in the game also, besides you when you're playing your own storyline game. But if they have their own way, like they like to do with their other characters and have them on a certain level in a certain area and all that stuff, that's kind of cool too. But how it's going to be, you'll find out. So he says something for me. All the grandchildren come in, oh my god, da 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 da, hi grandpa, blah blah blah. And of course, one of the grandsons speaks to him first without the granddaughters, and he says, Kaz, that Kaz is the one that says it, and he's like, Taz has a Pokemon. We want a Pokemon. No fair, Taz has a Pokemon. We want a Pokemon. Blah blah blah. And as you can see, as it will be, Splenda's right here. Of course, I'm standing right there next, in front of the professor. Splenda's right there. Spot's right behind me, right there, and Spleefa is right behind. Okay, now where the rivals are, of course they're standing there because that's how the gameplay is, but they will be standing in the grandsons, the other 3 will be standing in a certain way also, but they'll be standing on the left side, staring like Splenda is staring, and facing all of us along the side, okay, on the left. Including from the professor. Kaz is right there next to the professor from the left side. So that would be cool, okay? So there's all of us there so far. 7 of us, I believe, right there. in that instance, including myself, in front of the professor. So, of course, I delivered the parcel and I handed to him in the instance. So he's like, the custom Pokeballs. Okay. Now he's in this instance, which it seems like, and he explains like this is Pokeballs, of course, but in this instance, what it really will be is I'm handing him the other Pokemon for the other grandchildren. Okay. So he says I had him on order. Thank you. So of course, Taz ends up coming in. Gramps, you know what I mean? I almost forgot what you call me for. He's like, oh yeah, you know what I mean? Oh right, I have a request for you, Bo. Well, I have a request for you all, actually. Was what he really says. He says, I have a request for you all. So he ends up telling us all. But he's like, first and foremost, as I wanted to be fair, as they've told me, Taz, I want all of them to have a Pokemon first. So you all give me a second, and then he, like, you know what I mean? It's a big wide table, like the hack Pokemon version. Like, there's a hack Pokemon version. You'll probably see it on YouTube, where you can actually pick all the Gen starter Pokemon, and there's like multiple Pokeballs on the table. But in this scenario, of course, they all get to choose their Pokemon on the table, and as it will be, you know, Spinach makes their. I mean, she sees Bulbasaur, she's like, no. I mean, Charmander's, she's like, no. Now, I have the screens exactly the coloring, so as you can see, I already have them as their coloring, as her screen is blue with Squirtle surrounded. And I made their screens like that, so personally, when I press start, automatically, if it's not on their name, you'll know and see who they are. You know what I mean? You'll know. So, of course, she ends up seeing Squirtle, and she picks Squirtle. Now, the professor has posters, actually, also, that actually show the Pokemon. You know, he has a pamphlet, so they know which one is which and what they look like, okay? Well, he explains what, you know, it could be like that, or if, it can just be him speaking out of his word, like the water type, you know what I mean? 1 second. I have to X out this video. I gotta chop this off, and I'll get to the concept, and I'll explain why in the next video, okay?